And we're very happy to have such a sincere soul welcomed into our family. You're also bringing, a lot of brightness with your fresh enthusiasm and sincerity. So we feel blessed as well to have you in our family. And that analogy of a newborn, that is perfect. That's exactly what it is. It's a new birth. One name of the initiation ceremony actually is Upanayan, means a new eye. So
Yeah.
it is, in that sense, it is really like a new birth. We're trying to, we're receiving this higher vision of the environment. We're being given a different lens through which to view the environment. So it is, if we're approaching it in the right way, it really is like a new birth. So, well, it sounds like you're going to be very successful.
I think with everyone's blessings and everyone's mercy, and I hope so. I hope that, I mean, I know there'll be times, but like my brother was even saying to me, while you still have some enthusiasm and that, just go full force with it. And I'm just hoping every day. I think the main, well, for me, when the whole journey started afresh, is with the whole COVID thing, and with the lockdown, and feeling like, if I had to leave like tomorrow or the next instant, what did I actually do, and what could I say, or what was my life worth? Like, what did I even do? So yeah, I think it started afresh with that kind of view. And I was like, okay, it can happen at any point. And it's such a, like, harsh reality, but it's a reality that we, for me, it's always, I think for most of us, it's always with blinkers on. It's there, but you don't want to face it. And I think in that sense, just knowing that, to try my best, while I mean, to have all of your association is incredible, because just the kindness and the outlook and the beauty and just the whole compassion and all these qualities that you don't get to see every day. Every day it's such a, like, a harsh environment, but to get the association of all the Vaishnavas and devotees and gurus, and it's just so, it's so welcoming and uplifting, and it gives you that peace, and that, like, that, like, almost like that homecoming, or that you know yeah, that's, well, thank you.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful to hear your realizations and your inspiration, and yes, I mean, this whole, what you said about the COVID situation is right on. I mean, these kinds of situations, they should lead us to that realization, to that conclusion. I it's like what is happening in the world today. It just really brings home the fact that the world doesn't have the answer, and we can't waste our time. It's like a demonstration of the failure of everything that materialism is promising us. It's all everything that's being promoted as the highest thing of things in life. It's kind of like all just blowing up. It's a clear demonstration that this isn't this isn't something real. These are all false promises, is what I mean to say. What's happening in the world today, like the collapse of so many things, it's just demonstrating that these are failed promises. And therefore we really have to consider, where are we putting our time? What is the proper usage of our time? What is the true current of reality, and how can I give myself to that? in Search for Sri Krishna, in the beginning, Search for Sri Krishna is a book of compiled from the talks of our grandfather Guru, for those of you who aren't familiar with it. But in the beginning of the book, I think in the first chapter, Srila Maharaj is issuing a challenge to the modern scientists and saying, you know, you're all working so hard, giving so much energy, researching into different avenues in this world, but you haven't been able to solve the main problem, you know, which is death. That's the main point. That's the main problem, because we can do so many great things in this world, and we can experience many wonderful things too, but ultimately they're all ending in death. They're all ending in mortality. There is no promise of stability. There is no promise of eternity. So what value are they actually? So Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he declares there very boldly, you know, you haven't been able to solve this problem, you all move aside. You know, we will give the answers. You know, we have the answers. You all move aside, you know. And then he was speaking about how it's very, very heavy, his expressions. And he also is saying there, like, where has all of your scientific research brought you? It's brought you to the point where human civilization is going to destroy itself. And then he's speaking about the atom bomb, the nuclear bomb, like that. Very, very heavy. Okay, well, we have a few others have been joining us. We were just Seva Rupa Devi Dasi was just sharing how she's just received initiation, sharing her feelings about that. So we're all very inspired to hear that, and everyone here, no doubt, is giving their hearty well wishes and welcome to her, to our family. So we have also Pat has just joined us from Ireland. It's great to see you again, Pat. Thanks for joining us. And also Varun. Varun is joining us again. Hello. From Arizona, right? I think Arizona.
No, I actually flew to Atlanta, so.
Okay, you're in Atlanta now. Okay, cool. So you're tuning in from Atlanta. Nice.
Yeah, Chintamani gave me the link for the weekly meeting.
Okay, cool. Great.
Yeah, thank you.
And Samantha's joining us again from London. Great to see you again, Samantha. Dandavat.
Dandavat. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
And Leela Maduri Devi Dasi from California, also tuning in. Great to have you with us.
Dandavat.
Dandavat, Leela Maduri. And Jayadev Prabhu, Chintamani Devi Dasi. Very happy you're with us again, as always. Hello. You told us you wouldn't be able to join this week, but you're here.
I didn't. Maybe Chintamani. I saw Chintamani had said that. I don't know what that was about.
Okay. Well,
it's the same friends that we would have. That we would be all separated. That Varun was going somewhere and Helena was going somewhere. Just that specific group.
Okay. Well, great that you can be here. And Ananda Surpani is joining us now from London. Also, Dandavat Pranams. Ananda Surpani, hope you're well. Okay. Well, here we are again, our Monday meeting. We did have a request from Varun, which we didn't cover last week because it was Vasanta Panchami, very special day, so we wanted to have some remembrance of that. So Varun, your request was your question was how can we connect in our daily lives or something like that? Do you want to say again?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, it was how do we connect with Krishna consciousness, and yeah, how do we live our lives moment to moment, um, practicing this.
Mm. So how do we connect with Krishna in our daily lives and connect moment by moment? I got that a little wrong, but that's the basic idea.
Yes, thank you.
Well, that's something that will change as we develop, as we, our means of connecting and on a conscious level, how we are connecting, it is something that will change. Or in general, I can say our mentality of how we are able to connect is something that will change as we develop. We for a progressive life, we need to continually be going to deeper and deeper conceptions of Krishna consciousness. And there are so many layers of understanding. So what we consider to be connecting on day one, that will change over time if we are living a progressive life, progressive spiritual practice. But in a general sense, we can speak generally, we can also speak specifically. And in a general sense, we can say that, Krishna consciousness, primarily, it is or substantially, it is really a transaction of consciousness. And so, it is Krishna consciousness. And so our external activity does not necessarily need to change. It is about, essentially, Krishna consciousness is about Sharanagati. It is about surrender. Sharanagati is the Sanskrit word for surrender. Here, yesterday, I'm with the community in Hungary now, and the devotees are setting up a legal foundation here, like a mission to help with preaching activities and such. And so one of the requirements that the government, to register ourselves as like an official mission, one of the requirements is that we give like a mission statement, we give some history of our mission, and then one of the things they asked for was a list of our rituals, like our the rituals and procedures that we carry out, in our daily practice. And it for me, it was kind of funny because there were three of us sitting around the table, and we were really like struggling because our whole approach to, like, the way we've been trained by our gurus, it's not about ritual. It's not so much about rituals and practices as it is about an inner cultivation, and particularly cultivating the spirit of surrender. So it was, for me, it was very funny because we were like literally struggling, and we sat there for about an hour, and by the end we had like a long list, and like there were lots of things that people would classify as rituals, that we do, chanting on beads and worshiping deities and worshiping the tulasi plant, and chanting Sanskrit mantras and so on and so forth. There are plenty of things that we do that would classify as rituals. But it was interesting for me applying the tilak, the sacred clay, etc., etc. But it was, for me, it was funny because it really brought home the fact that the way our gurus have trained us is that there's so little emphasis on ritual. All of the emphasis is on that transaction of consciousness, that spirit of self-giving, self-offering. That's really the the essence of what we're doing. We're trying to offer ourselves, and all of these things that we do, they are like a via media through which we can try to offer ourselves to the Lord, to the Vaishnavas, the saints. So this is really the essence of Krishna consciousness. It's moment by moment trying to offer ourselves to all of our daily activity. And that's not only, through the practice of so-called rituals, but in our daily activity, in everything that we're doing, in our eating and our sleeping, we're trying to make everything an offering. And of course we can't imitate the higher saints, but for them, Srila Sridhar Maharshi mentions in one place, their passing of stool is done in the service mentality. They're because everything they're doing is in connection with the higher plane. Everything they're doing is an offering. And so, as time goes by, as we develop, it becomes less about what we're doing and more about what is the consciousness behind that. There's another talk of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where he makes this like clear contrast to really emphasize this point, and he says to worship the deity, or to go to beat a man, to go to beat somebody, whether they are service or not, it depends on the consciousness behind. So going to worship the deity, it may be karma, it may be reactionary in a material sense. And going to beat somebody for some higher cause, that may be service. And he also said to go to clean the stool of a Vaishnava, to clean the stool of a Vaishnava saint, that may be more valuable than going to engage in some what we consider more stereotyped devotional activity like worshiping the deity. So this is like radical radical spiritual principles. So that's really the essence of it all, moment by moment, and everything that we're doing, whether apparently mundane or supposedly spiritual, but trying to make everything an offering, trying to gear ourselves in that mentality. I exist for him. I exist for that higher reality. Trying to turn that whole consciousness, that whole egocentric consciousness that we have so insidiously buried within us, to turn that around inside out, upside down, to take ourselves out of the center, to try to see everything through the lens of the higher interest. Because now we're seeing everything through the lens of our own interest, our own polluted, selfish interest. So to set all that aside, actually, Gora Hari, one of our devotee brothers, he shared this. This is a new word I hadn't heard of. Let me see, I have it here. Maybe some of you have heard of it. Sonder. The word is sonder. I don't know if I'll type it in. I don't know if this is like a new modern word. I'll type it in. I haven't looked it up. I'm just taking his word for it. So the meaning is, the definition is something like the realization that every other person has their own story that is as significant as yours. But the more esoteric meaning generally accepted by internet denizens is the realization or feeling that you aren't the main character. So then for us, it's the realization that Krishna's the main character. Krishna's the hero. And we're not main cast, we're supporting characters. In in Bhagavad Gita, there's this famous verse, Yat Karoshi, Yat Ashnashi, Yat Shuhoshi Dadasi, Yat Tapasya Sikunteya, Tat Karusha Man Arpanam. So if I was going to answer this question in one sentence, I would reply with this verse. It is a famous verse in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is saying, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever sacrifice you make everything an offering unto me. Connect me with that. So, of course, our activity in our current level of realization, it's not possible for us to do anything that is pure in devotion. It is not possible. But there's so much room. There's so much accommodation here. Whether we're 2-year-olds coming to offer a mud pie, or we're a university graduate making an elaborate gourmet chocolate cake. It's all being accepted, and not that it's all one. There's gradation there, but the point is that nobody's being denied an opportunity to progress. Everyone's being allowed to get into. Everyone's being allowed entrance into this school. And there's a place for everyone, whatever level they're at. So in the beginning, maybe the best we can offer is mud pies, which aren't really worth very much, or maybe some chocolate, some melted chocolate that we've been like eating, and it's like all over our fingers, and there will be different stages of understanding when we're in that mode of trying to connect and offer ourselves and everything that we have. But whatever stage we're at, it's okay. We have to begin somewhere. Our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharshi, one expression he liked very much. He would say, if I have $5, I must start my business with $5. And so many times he would say that, with whatever we have, whatever capital we have to start with that, So in the beginning, our conception of offering and connecting to the center will be very much tinged by self-interest. But as time goes by, if we are practicing in the right way, purification will automatically take place. And our understanding of offering and our mood of offering, it will become, more and more purified. And then, of course, what is absolutely essential, if we had to say one thing that is indispensable in spiritual life, it is sadhu sangha. It is good association. That is absolutely crucial. That connection with the Vaishnavas, that is absolutely essential. There must be a connection of service and hearing from Vaishnavas who have a more developed understanding than ourselves. And it doesn't need to be, a pure Vaishnava saint, like our Gurudev, but somebody who's just like a older brother or sister, Of course, that link must also be there with the highest Vaishnava. But what I mean is that we can hear from many Vaishnavas. We have something to learn from everyone. So, and Gurudev, in fact, he commented once that it may be more helpful for us sometimes to have the association of someone who's closer to us on our level, because those who are on a vastly higher level, they're so far removed from us. There's no reference point. It's like a kindergarten student going to hear a PhD level class. Like, how much are they really going to get? But if that kindergarten student hears from someone in first grade, then that's actually going to be more helpful. So all I mean to say is that, those who are more accessible to us, we don't need to dismiss them as being, on a lower level, but anyone who has a little more experience than ourselves, has some more realization, or even who is practicing with real sincerity, we can gain something from them. And then also, hearing and reading from the pure, 100% pure sadhus, like our Guru Varga, that is also important and very valuable. And in that, in that process of exchanging with other Vaishnavas, hearing from higher Vaishnavas, attempting to serve higher Vaishnavas when we have the opportunity, in that whole exchange, that whole transaction, then our conception, our understanding of Krishna consciousness, our understanding of Sharanagati, surrender, it will become more and more purified, and our capacity to offer ourselves, the degree to which we can offer ourselves, it will increase, it will develop more and more. So yeah, I mean, I tend to speak in more broad and abstract terms. And then if we're going to speak about like specific things, and I think those are things you already know, that there are so many things encouraged, the practice of kirtan, for example, trying to offer our daily food, whether it's just in an informal way or in a more formal way, that can change according to circumstance and opportunity. Some daily regulated practice is very helpful for us, because our minds are very chanchal, as they say in Bengal. Chanchal means like very restless, always going this way and that way. So some days we're in the mood, some days we're not in the mood. Some days we're like, yes, full, going like full steam ahead. Yes, this is everything. And then other days are like, I have other things I want to do. I'm not very interested. We're very unstable. We're very flickering in our faith. So therefore, to have some regulated practice, it is very helpful. Some commitment that we make to ourselves, whether, if we're in a social setting that supports that, then that's very helpful. I'm very fortunate because I'm always living in the association of other devotees. So even when I don't feel like it, I'm always getting that prod, like, okay, now's the time, we're going to do this. Actually, here I'm staying at the home of Kanupriya, and I'm very impressed with her, because she's just living at home, and I've been living in temples for the last 10 years or something like that, or more than that, 15 years now. This is the first time I'm living outside of a formal temple. So I'm staying in Kanupriya's home, but she has an altar, and she has a nice temple space, and I'm very impressed with her because every day, without fail, she's ready and she's eager to do kirtan, to have our reading and discussion, and so I feel so blessed, because I feel like Gurudev's really, and she has a job, she's working, and she's got all these commitments, and she's got a son, and so I'm just so impressed that she maintains that level of enthusiasm, living here without much association. And I feel very blessed because I feel like my Gurudev, he always arranges for me to have that kind of association where, whether I'm in the mood or not, whether I feel like it or not, every day we're doing the program, So we're very fortunate we have that kind of company. Otherwise, then it requires more discipline from ourselves. To try to, make that daily commitment. We're going to take this time aside, to, even I know, devotees have jobs and families, but even if it's just like 30 minutes in your day, I feel rude saying this. I'm sure you're all doing much more than that anyway. But I'm just speaking in terms of, general ideas here. But yeah, even if someone can just take 30 minutes out of their day, that makes such a difference, to hear something, to read something, to chant something. And if we can start our day with that and end our day with that, that's a perfect day. That, the way that you start your day actually is very important. And also the way that you end your day. I'm sure you've all experienced that your dreams can be influenced by like what you ended your day on. So there's one I'll share the link here. It's so nice. There was one I actually came across this in some old videos when our Gurudev speaking in Italy. It was 1990, I think, and I've never heard him speak about this before. It was just like this kind of special moment where he shared his personal meditation when he wakes up in the morning. Yeah, I'll share the link here. I've got it here. And in that talk, it's here. In that talk, he made that point, that if we begin our day like that, that will affect our whole day. Here, he says, if we can follow this process every day, wherever we are, then we will receive some inspiration and good feelings, which we can keep in our hearts and live with our whole day. I'm telling you my feelings. So it's so like intimate and sweet the way that he's speaking. I'm telling you I'm sharing my heart with you. I'm telling you my feelings. Try to remember this. Remember the association of the Vaishnavas. Remember Guru Maharaj and remember all his paraphernalia. If you can practice starting your day like this for a few days, then it will come naturally to you all. And I think that you will feel so much better. It is true we are going to our daily jobs, but before that, if we will try to meditate on our situation with love and affection, if we will try to meditate on our Gurudev and Krishna and everyone, then we will get so much strength and light from them, and they will save us. If our day will start with this, they will live within our remembrance for the whole day. We may do anything, anywhere, for our maintenance or for any duty, but we will always keep in our remembrance our protector and our master. Then the days will be easier for us. When we are chanting at that time, our only prayer to Sri Sri Radha Krishna is, please reveal yourselves in my heart, and they will reveal themselves. Their pastimes are very sweet. It is depending upon the person, no doubt. It is all depending upon the person. And quality and qualification will come through our mood of surrender. However much we will be surrendered, that type of return will come to our mind. That's an excerpt, and in the beginning part, he's describing in more detail his meditation. So you can see that in the link there. Chinmoy Prabhu, do you want to share anything on this topic?
Well, I could speak on some practical ways that I've thought of, because many of us work, but why are we working? it's Krishna consciousness, then what is the consciousness behind that work? And so if I can say I'm working so I can donate to the temple, and I can maintain that consciousness through my working day, through my working week, then work becomes Krishna conscious. I mean, that's my feeling. I'm not sure if that's true, but it seems like with everything you can do that. With sleep. Why am I sleeping? Well, so I can wake up early and chant my rounds. So now sleep becomes Krishna conscious. But that's just my feeling. I don't really know how.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, definitely. So those are nice, very nice examples. There's one way our gurus have spoken of this is I can't think of the right terms right now. But there's direct and there's indirect. So if our mentality is geared in Krishna consciousness, and everything we do, it will be a direct or an indirect offering. So those examples that Chinmoy Prabhu gave, of sleeping and working, they are examples of an indirect offering. And then practices like chanting and sadhu sangha, those are the more direct. So yes, absolutely. And our Gurudev, he would make the point that somebody who's living as a celibate brahmachari in the temple, according to his consciousness, he may actually be living in hell. Whereas somebody else who's working full time and has a family, et cetera, they may be really living in the spiritual domain. So that's something that's been emphasized so much by our gurus, that everything is in consciousness. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he gave this very nice example. I can't remember his name, but he was like one of the leaders in the resistance movement in India against the British, and I believe Gandhi made a comment about him that he was envious of him, because this man, in this resistance movement, they had many members, of course, and there were those who were like working full time for the cause. They had their offices and so many meetings and strategies they were planning, et cetera. So they had like a core group of members who were working full time for this cause. And then there were many others, who were continuing with their family lives and their jobs, but they were supporting like from the sidelines according to their capacity, whether through their physical energy when it was possible or through monetary contributions. But in whatever way possible, from the sidelines, they were giving support. So this one man in particular who I'm thinking of, he there was an incident, because there were some occasions when these members were arrested by the police, and so there was one occasion when there was some scenario taking place where the police were arresting these members of this resistance movement, and many people were running away, and many of like the members of this resistance movement, they were running away in fear. But this man, he was very fearless, and he handed himself in, and he handed his whole family in, making like a bold statement. They weren't afraid. And Gandhi made some comment about him, like he was envious of him because, although he wasn't, many of these full-time members, like when it came down to it, they were afraid and running away. But this man who was like, apparently not fully involved in living his family life, he was fearlessly standing up to the police and handing himself in, ready to deal with them and face them as needed. So Srila Maharaj, he gave this example, that although he wasn't like full-time a part of this movement, internally that spirit was within his heart. And that's really the substantial thing. So yes, and And actually, you know, in our mission, I think this may be something a little special, because it's been, we don't have, you know, I mean, the impression I get from some other societies sometimes is that there's more of a hierarchical vision of the society. I mean, like, you know, persons who are in the robes or in the chair, they're respected, you know, much, much more than, you know, family persons, you know, for example. But in our mission, there really isn't that kind of course, there is special respect given to the sannyasis, the monks. But it's there's also there's a much broader mood of offering respect, because that was something that our Gurudev really emphasized. And you know, he very much honored any devotee who had the spirit of service shining brightly in their heart, you know, whatever so-called rank they were in. So you know, I feel we're fortunate in our family, in our devotional family community, because there is a much broader, I feel in general, there's a broader conception of who is to be honored, you know, what is to be honored. Yeah. Does anyone else want to add anything on this topic or anything at all? I see also Suvasini Didi has joined us. Tanda Pranam Didi. Suvasini Didi, if we're talking about exemplary householders, she's another example. I've stayed with Suvasini many times, and she's our main hostess in Ireland, and I've stayed with her many times. You know, so I mean, the way she practices, it's on another level. You know, I mean, she's very, you know, very, very focused, very dedicated. You know, every morning, every evening, she's making offerings, and you know, even if she's by herself, you know, doing some kirtan and some reading, and she has a very nice temple space. Actually, when I go to her house, I feel like I'm entering the Mahabharata or something. Because her devotional practice is so high class. You know? And actually, it's interesting, because actually her husband, he follows another lineage. They're both South Indian Brahmins. Very high class, but her husband follows another lineage. So like, to see how they accommodate each other, it's very inspiring. You know, she has her altar, he has his altar, and they'll make time. They make time for each other. So he does his at and it changes, because he's actually an on-call doctor. So his schedule changes all the time. He works in the emergency department. So like every day they'll have some adjustment, and he'll go in at a particular time, and he does a 2-hour puja for his deity, and then Suvasini Devi at another time, she has 2-hour kirtan puja, etc., arati. So it's very, very inspiring to see how serious they're living, just the two of them, without like the support of a big community, but very dedicated to this daily practice and worship. Very, very nice example.
We're just trying, Devi. Getting so much praise, but just trying. Yeah.
I see Parvati has joined us. Hello, Parvati. Whereabouts are you? You're on mute.
Yes, I'm in Arizona, the Divine Grace Ashram.
Okay, so you're still in the ashram there. Okay.
Yes,
Well, great. Great to see
my seva, and so happy to join you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for giving us your good company.
Thank you. Thank you for the space.
And Narayani's also joined us from California. Dandavat, dear Narayani, Devi Dasi. How are you? Oh, not hearing anything. She's turned her mic on, but we're not hearing anything. Anyway, we're very happy to have you with us.
I'm doing okay. Really happy to hear you laughing and getting inspired by you all. Hear me?
Wonderful. And we have also Vijay and Seamus joining us from Limerick. So both of you. Very happy to see you both with us. How are things in Limerick?
Yeah, it's fine. It's not like, obviously it's restrictions are still there. So they call it level 5. So, but yeah, we have our Thursday program. We just do it with Krishna Bhakti-Rasa. It's kind of in-house, like, so.
Very nice.
Not public program.
And how are things going with the new center which you just got?
Yeah, it's in the process with the bank now. Right now, it's in the bank's hands. So bank has to evaluate like Seamus knows more.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just going through all the paperwork at the moment. So maybe it'll be 2 or 3 months of that before it comes through the other end. So yeah, so it's exciting anyway. So we're very happy about that. Yeah, so it's all on track anyway. So that's really good.
Great, wonderful news. Wonderful news.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there was some, I'm missing something. There was something that, oh, she didn't join us. The
Manjari.
Yes, that's right. She didn't join us. She actually wrote to me yesterday and she said she was going to join with a friend, but I guess it didn't work out. But yeah, she had a question too, but she's not
Didi, I was
here.
wondering if you could just speak on the conception of lolium as relation to engaging oneself in Krishna consciousness.
Okay. Yeah, that's nice. Do you want to say something? You look like you have something too you want to say. Do you want to say something?
I just know it seems to be kind of our Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, they often talk about how that is like the basis or one of the bases to promote oneself, to progress through spiritual conception.
Yes, it is our hunger. Lalya means our hunger, our hankering. This is our greatest need. And there's a famous verse which our gurus would often reference by Srila Rupa Goswami. Krishna Bhakti-Rasa Bhavitamati Priyatam Jadi Kutopi Labhyate Tacha Lolyam Api Mulyam Ekalam Janma Koti Sukriterna Labhyate. Actually, anything in success in anything, it depends on hunger. It depends on our desire. Because if we really desire something, then we'll get it, no matter what. And there's that very nice expression: necessity is the mother of invention. Something may seem impossible, but when we feel that need, like I have to have this, then we'll find a way. We'll find a way. It will be. There won't. It'll just be something so pressing within ourselves. This is our need to realize. Our problem is that we're like under a type of anesthesia. Actually, Suvasini's husband, he specializes in anesthesia in the hospital. But I had this experience a few years ago, and I've never had any major surgery or anything like that. But a few years ago in Brazil, I had to have one of my wisdom teeth removed, and it turned out to be a very complicated procedure, and I had to have a minor surgery, and I had to go into. So it was the first time And I've never taken drugs or anything in my life, you know, so it was kind of like my first drug experience, this anesthesia that they gave me. And it was so bizarre because they're literally drilling into my mouth and I wasn't feeling it. And I was in this weird, you know, weird mental state, you know, but it really, it just, you know, it was so bizarre because like I knew there was all kinds of like, you know, like blood and like it's really intense operation going on inside my mouth and I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it. It's very, very strange. And if I was feeling that, it would be absolutely unbearable. It would be unbearable. So in this world, the energy of Maya, the illusory energy, it's like a type of anesthesia. We're not actually feeling how bad our situation is. And that's on the negative side. On the negative side, we're not feeling how bad our situation is. And on the positive side, we're not feeling how attractive Krishna is. And we're not feeling, you know, our Gurudev gave the example of Krishna as being like a magnet. He has this extreme attractive energy. That's what Krishna means. That's why his main name is Krishna, because attraction, that is just like his core nature. He's irresistibly attractive. So if we're not feeling that, there's something wrong with us. There's this one talk of Srila Sridhar Maharaj where somebody asks him, you know, why Krishna? I mean, why the name? Krishna actually has many names. So why is it that name Krishna is like chosen, has been chosen and is used as his principal name? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he began speaking about the principle of attraction. How actually the force of attraction is so fundamental to existence as a whole. Everything's moving on the basis of attraction. If we think of how the planets are moving in the cosmos, you know, everything's moving on the basis of attraction. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he went further and he revealed his own, you know, normally our gurus, they're not sharing so much of their like personal, you know, their personal experiences and their personal, you know, depth of feeling for Krishna consciousness, but sometimes we're getting some glimpse. So in response to this question, he revealed something of his own feeling. And he said, when I hear the name Krishna, every nerve is attracted. You know, every nerve within my being feels attraction to Krishna. It's funny because we're like so far out in left fields. We're like so far out. We're just like these idiots. Like we just don't get it. But for those, because we don't feel anything. But for people who feel it, it's obvious. So it's like even that question, why Krishna? It's like, for Srila Sridhar Maharaj, it was obvious, and you know, because he's feeling that force of attraction. So he said that when I hear the name Krishna, every nerve within my being is attracted to him and his name. So, you know, we are lacking that. You know, we are sorely lacking that feeling of necessity. But if we were awake to that, we would feel, I can't live without this. It's impossible to live without this. There's a prayer of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Vinod kohe hai hai Hari Das, Hari nahi pai is very, very heart-rending expression. The Vinod kohe hai hai. Hai hai is like a lament. It's like, oh my Lord, alas, like alas. And then Vinod kohe hai hai Hari Das, Hari nahi pai. And you can't really give the full feeling of this in English, this expression in English, but he's saying here who is Hari Das? Because Hari Das is a name. We have, some of our brothers have that name, Hari Das. But literally Hari Das, it means servant of Hari. Das is servant, Hari means the Lord. So literally Hari Das means servant of Hari. And then Hari Das, Hari Nahi Pai. Pai means to obtain something, to get something. So he's saying, who is Hari Das? In other words, who by their constitutional nature is a servant of Hari. Hari Nahi Pai. They don't have Hari. This is the tragic condition that we're in. I'm a fish who can only live in water, and I'm outside of water. I'm an American who identifies with America, and I've been denied entry to America. This kind of idea, like what is so crucial to our existence, what is so crucial and fundamental to our very existence, we are denied that, we are separated from that. The big joke, of course, is that we ourselves have made that separation. We ourselves are denying that which is so crucial to our core existence. That is the cruel irony of the situation. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, in one place, he's paraphrasing that expression of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and saying that our senses must have all died. Our senses have become so dull because we're not feeling what our situation is, how tragic, how painful our situation is. We're not feeling it. So this is our essential need, to feel that natural hunger. It is also expressed, hunger is a symptom of health, right? If you have no appetite, it means there's something wrong with you. But if we're healthy, then we have an appetite. We feel hunger. So, since our constitutional nature is Hari Das, Krishna Das, then in a healthy condition, we should be feeling a need to express our nature as such. So if we're not feeling that, then we are unhealthy. There's something wrong with us. So then the question is, how can we awaken that hunger? And that is, where all of everything that we've been discussing that comes into play, But we can mention a few particular points in this regard, I mean, one way, when Srila Sridhar Maharaj was asked, how do we get that hunger? One way he answered that was to associate with hungry persons. If we find someone who has that hunger, or who has more hunger than ourselves, then we should try to get their company. That is something natural in life, that who we associate with, we will become like them. We will begin to desire what they desire. What we're surrounding ourselves with, we will begin to desire that. So that is one very important factor. Another important factor is that, and this is something that we neglect sometimes, but it's just as important, and that is that we have to leave aside the things that will diminish our hunger, our healthy spiritual hunger. Just like if your mother is preparing a home-cooked meal for you, healthy, organic, homegrown, home-cooked meal, then it's best if you don't eat when you're on the way. Don't snack or you'll spoil your appetite. But if you're your mom's invited you home for a home cooked meal and you stop for some pizza or chips on the way, then when you get there, you're not going to have an appetite, and you'll just be able to politely take a few bites of what she's giving you. So in the same way, if we are filling ourselves up with so many things of a lower quality from the world, then we won't, when we're connecting with spiritual, with spiritual persons and practices, etc., then we won't feel desire for that because we're already full with something else. If we're filling our head with what the world is telling us, and of course, I think this point has already been made multiple times, but this doesn't mean that we disconnect from the world. It's just about what we're putting our faith in. It doesn't mean that we don't read the newspaper, but it's about what angle of vision we have when we're surveying, what's happening. So what we're putting our faith in. So that's another important factor. Giving up bad association, that can be just as important as getting good association. Because if we're getting good association, we may be getting good association, but if we're still taking bad association, then the potency, the influence, the power of that good association, it won't be able to exert itself fully over us. It'll be like in one ear and out the other, because there's no space in our head. Our head's full of so many other things. So that's another factor in increasing hunger, to make space, make space for the good stuff. And that verse also we can mention again, which I mentioned in the beginning, Krishna Bhakti-Rasa. It's a very beautiful verse. It is saying that if you want, it is saying that Krishna Bhakti-Rasa Bhavitamati, literally it means something like the consciousness which is steeped in ecstatic love for Krishna. You cannot obtain that by so many pious activities. Over thousands of lifetimes you can perform so many pious or auspicious activities, but that will not produce this result that you want. Thank you. Chinmoy Prabhu's put the verse here for us. So how can you get it? Tacha lolyam apimulyam ekalam. The only way to get it is through lolyam, through your own desire, your hunger, your greed, your eagerness to have it. And the translation is too. And so if you find it anywhere, if you find it available somewhere, you must immediately try to get it. Yeah, I mean that it's a very core necessity, because if we have that hunger, then as I was saying in the beginning, we cannot but go towards it. Just like if you wake in the morning and your stomach's burning with hunger, you'll just immediately go and get some. You don't need to like check a manual or make a schedule. Okay, I'm going to eat at such and such time, and of course we can do that. But if we're hungry, we don't need to follow any schedule. We don't need to follow someone's direction at all. We'll just feel, I'm hungry. I know what I'm feeling. I need to eat something. So in the same way, if we're fortunate enough to have some hunger in spiritual life, then, there won't be anything dry about it. It won't be, oh, I have to do this and this, but we'll feel, I need this. I'm going to die if I don't have this. And the higher devotees, that's actually how they feel. There's some beautiful verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita saying that, ordinary people in this world, They sustain themselves with food, with rice and bread, etc., etc. But the higher souls, they're not living on that. They're not living on gross bodily sustenance. They're living on descending grace. They're living on what's descending from above in the subtle sphere. They're living on the prapana jivanamrita. They're living on the nectar that only the surrendered souls can experience. That's life nectar for them. They're sustaining them. What for us at present may seem to be very abstract and remote and irrelevant at worst. For them, that's their very life sustenance, and they feel that they'll die if they're not getting that. So that's the kind of radical transformation of consciousness that we need in order to be successful in spiritual life. In the Shikshashtakam, there's that verse, Yugayitam nimeshena chakshusha purishayitam shunyayitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. This is I think the 7th verse. These are prayers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in this here he's expressing more developed stages of devotion, and this deep mood of separation is being expressed here. And he's saying, a moment without you feels like forever. And looking upon the world, I feel everything is a great void. Everything is a void without you. So there's a verse in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Shotavya dini rajanja nirnam samhanti nirnam shanti sahasrasa. This verse is saying that, I can't remember the second part, but saying the Sanskrit, but it's saying that for persons who are asleep to the true nature of the self, they find many things of interest in this world, many things to see, many things to hear, many things to taste. This world is like a carnival. This world is like a great festival of sense experience. There's so much to engage with in different ways. And nowadays, in the modern age, this is just like increased hundreds of times, because of modern technology. There's so much to stimulate our senses with. And this is one of the characteristics of Kali Yuga. The senses are stronger in this age. And also, there's so much more food for the senses. So for persons who are asleep to Atma Tattva, who are asleep to their true nature as Atma, as spirit, they find so much to engage with in this world. However, for those who are awake, conversely, those who are awake to the true self, then, as Mahaprabhu expresses in this verse of Shikshashtakam, they look upon all those same things like it's a desert. It's a void. It's a desert. There's nothing there. Without the connection of Krishna, it is all meaningless. It is a meaningless void. So, this is, as I said, this is the radical transformation that needs to take place. And how far away now we feel ourselves to be from such a consciousness. Does anyone else? Ramananda Prabhu has also joined us. Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. San Jose.
I was listening actually Gurudev's lecture. He actually gave me so much. I can't get so much. So he was telling it the Dure Tadantike. He said it's far and it's very close. You don't have to go anywhere. Just we have to adjust. Explain a little bit on that.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned. I was thinking about that verse just before we started. Is from I think it's in the Upanishad somewhere. Tadure tadvantike means the Lord is very far and he's also very near. I mean, I think we could understand that in different ways. You know, I feel it can refer to, in the highest sense, it could refer to feelings of union and separation. And then in terms of our own condition, you know, it is so, as we were saying in the beginning, we are so flickering. You know, the Lord is living in our hearts. He is very close to us. But our own material consciousness has taken us so far away. And so sometimes we may feel we are very close to that. Other times we feel we are so many light years away from that. Yeah. I think in Revealed Truth, Gurudev, he's discussing that. In the lower planes, we're feeling like that, and also in the higher planes, there's also a parallel feeling of that. You know, in the shift between union and separation. Well, does anyone else want to add anything here, or should we stop there for today?
Thank you, Vishakha Didi. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Peru.
Thank you for
Jai Vishakha Devi Dasi ki.
Yeah.
Jai Srila Gurudev. My humble dandavat pranams to all of the beautiful assembled group of Vaishnavas and sincere seekers, and asking for your blessings, and wishing you all the best for the week ahead. And hopefully we can all meet again next week. Okay. Dandavat pranams.
Dandavats.